Let's go to Starkville, Mississippi, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And I understand, listen, the scoring system, how it was scored. All I saw was Mississippi State spring game and the final in this one, 67-53. And all I thought to myself was, okay, offense is back. Offense is back in Starkville. Again, the scoring, in case you missed it, God, was weird. It was points for this, points for that. It all wasn't just touchdowns and field goals and extra points, what have you. But still, there was a lot of fireworks. Blake Shapen, Blayne, we got to talk about him. I thought he looked really good. The Baylor transfer, Kelly Akari, Kevin Coleman, Cito Traore, their weapons on the outside for him. Shapen looked very in control. Obviously, this is a brand new offense with Jeff Lebby. We felt really confident and excited about the different, right? He's going to bring to Starkville. You talked a lot about that. If you can't be better, then be different. Did you see the different you were looking for in yesterday's spring game?
Man, I don't know if there's a team that I am more pleasantly surprised by how they looked, just from a excitement, how they carried themselves, the playmakers, things of that nature, as coming out of this spring as there is Mississippi State. I mean, I'm just telling you, they looked totally different than the absolute gloom and doom of last year. You saw the life, revitalization from that Mississippi State program. You got Jeff Lebby over there looking like he's on a 10-day drunk with a gnarly neared over there, man, and having a trucker hat with a bulldog on it and nothing else. It was fantastic. I loved it. Loved everything about that. But when it comes down to it, the scheme alone, I mean, you see what Tennessee does. There's elements there of what Tennessee does to what Mississippi State's going to do. There's elements of what, the Baylor Art Briles, because FYI, people who don't know, that's Art Briles is Jeff Lebby's father-in-law. So he's got a little resource there that he's able to lean upon in terms of the football side of things. I want to stay away from the rest of it. But when it comes down to it, they have an excitement there in their offensive system, and they have playmakers that can go and get it. I think even a guy like Mario Carver, who they called an absolute steal on the broadcast, he got behind the defense a couple of times, didn't complete one of them, but man, he looked really good. But you mentioned the big three that they have there, whether it's a Akari that comes over from UTEP, had a great season. You put out a piece on him, I think, earlier this year when we hit the portal, how he's going to be a breakout star for Mississippi State. He certainly looked like it. He's a guy 6'2", over 200 pounds, has the body and just has the skill to go with it. Kevin Coleman looked great coming over from Louisville, and then Cito Traore, he actually had a little injury scare. Thank goodness he was fine, but he had to sit out last year after transferring from Colorado. So when it comes down to it, I think they've got weapons for Blake Shapen. The offensive line and the defensive line are always going to be the issue here. Can they hold up? Can they have enough depth? Because you're going to have attrition during the year. But I think just simply the scheme alone is going to help out Mississippi State a lot.
Do you expect State, Blayne, potentially to be active in the portal and try to get a couple guys on the defensive side of the football? I mean, it seems like that's where they probably need to help. You mentioned lines of scrimmage. The defensive line, adding a couple players, you would think they would be active when it comes to adding quality bodies.
I think you see these outlets out here that are heavy into covering recruiting. They say when a defensive lineman goes in portal, they list the teams who have reached out to them and stuff. Well, Mississippi State's in there because they're wanting to get more. Okay, they're wanting to get more. Their logo is on those graphics when you see that, because they are wanting to get more players there, and that's just simply the way it is in the SEC. No matter what it ends up being scheme wise, and you can play 53.5 yards wide, all that kind of stuff. When it comes down to it, at some point in the game, at some time during the game, you're going to need your offensive and defensive lines to step up and help take over a football game in order to win, whether it's momentum, an upset, you're a favorite, whatever. You got to have that line play. And I think they showed decent line play at points in time. I like the way they ran the football. But when it comes down to it, yeah, they're going to need more bodies, and I think they'll be active. Jeff Lebby, he learned from a lot of guys in the portal over there, and Lane Kiffin being one of them. I don't think he's going to be scared to hop in the portal and go get some guys.
And Blayne, I know in the spring we try to, I think at times we embrace the overreactions, but I think for the most part, you and I try to be the cooler heads. I don't want to overreact, but I feel like Mississippi State's going to get somebody. Like somebody's got to lose some football games, right? That's evident, and it's year one. Expectations are very conservative, but I think State's going to get somebody. I do.
Yeah,
I think Mississippi State's going to get somebody.
Yeah, I mean, and that was what it was under Mike Leach, right? When you would reach 9 wins for Mississippi State, that comes with being able to take care of somebody that's overlooking you a little bit. Well, I think we all remember coming off of LSU's national championship with Joe Burrow, the first game of the season, I think it was the next year, Mike Leach and company just go in there and absolutely ambush them. I mean, just go in there and just hang a big number on them over there in Baton Rouge. And that was kind of the beginning of the end there for Ed O as right after the high water mark. But you talk about early on in this season, you know, they got Eastern Kentucky, Arizona State, Toledo. They could be 3-0 going into a Florida game at home. It's not, listen, it would not be unrealistic to see Jeff Lebby and company start this year 4-0 after what we saw with Blake Shapen there, because the way that Blake Shapen layered the football, okay, the way that he threw a catchable deep ball to guys who were able to make plays and able to get separation at the top of the route, that's either something you have it or you don't as a quarterback. And Blake Shapen has shown in the past at Baylor he has it. His big thing is, can he stay healthy?
And Blayne, to your point again, that game week 4, I think you mentioned it was against Florida in Starkville. That's going to be the sexy upset pick right there. I think you're going to see a lot of
night game. Please make it a night game.
I think that could. It's funny enough. Maybe not funny for obviously both sides, but that could be one that kind of jump starts the Jeff Lebby era and effectively ends the Billy Napier era. So there's a lot on that game.
If there's a couple of requests that I could make, okay, to the SEC, if you're listening right now, SEC network officials, email that, do 2 things for me, okay? Make it a night game and give me Dave Neal on that, because I think for my childhood on listening to, I think it was JP Sports Network, all this, Dave Neal calling a game with like Sylvester Croom on the sideline, and you know, I mean, all these guys just going nuts for Mississippi State in a game that nobody else was watching at noon. I want to see it in a night game with Dave Neal. Give me that.
Great memories of JP Sports.